Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Moving forward from the explanation of the hadith regarding the 72 sects, that the one group that will enter Jannah is Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is a very large group. It's been named by Abdullah bin Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma as those people that follow the Sunnah of the Prophet and the way of the Sahaba. The 72 sects that will enter the fire of Jahannam is because of differences that I mentioned, the two types of differences, the usuli, furu'i, the fundamental difference and the subsidiary issues. They will enter the fire of Jahannam because of the fundamental differences. The one group that will enter Jannah, they will also have differences, but their differences will be inside furu, subsidiary issues. And then I mentioned the three things regarding furu ikhtilaf. Number one, it's a human's nature. Number two, it's been transmitted from the Sahaba. And then I mentioned number three, it is approved by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I give brief evidences for these claims. Now moving forward, like I said, I want this to be more of an introduction, so I want brothers to please contribute. We have the four schools: the Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali school. Can anybody tell me what kind of differences they have amongst each of them? These are four schools in fiqh. Okay, let me just again, if you remember in the beginning I told you that there's two things, Iman and A'mal. Iman and A'mal. And the word of the synonym, rather, or close to a synonym of Iman is Aqeedah. And we have A'mal. Now the A'mal that we have, that have been organized, that have been written in a formal way, as you know, jurisprudence, fiqh. Yeah? Salah, how to offer salah, how to give zakah, etc. So that's fiqh, that's jurisprudence. So inside a'mal, those people that have categorized a'mal side, they're called the schools of fiqh. Okay? The schools of fiqh. So how many schools do we have now? There were many before, but now how many do we have? There are four. Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali. And there's a school of fiqh, and they all deal with the a'mal side, the subsidiary issues. Okay? So their differences is usuli or furu'i? Furu'i. Why? Because it's transmitted from the Sahaba and is being acknowledged and approved by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this, if anybody stands up and they give a speech, or if anybody says that the four schools of thought, na'udhu billah, God forbid, they're from the 72 sects that will enter the fire of Jahannam, then that's a very dangerous statement. Why? Because where does that leave the Sahaba? Where does that leave the Sahaba? They had so many differences. If differences in itself is reprehensible, and because of the unity reason, you're saying the four schools are from the 72 sects that will enter the fire of Jahannam, then where does that leave the Sahaba? Na'udhu billah. Because Sahaba had so many differences. It's in Bukhari and Muslim. One example from Bukhari is a quick example where the group of Sahaba, a group of people came to Abu Musa Ash'ari radiyallahu ta'ala an, and they asked him a question regarding inheritance, mirath. He gave an answer, but he said, he advised them, go ask Abdullah bin Mas'ud what he says. So they went to him, and he also said to them that when he gives you the answer, come back and tell me. They went to Abdullah bin Mas'ud, and he gave a totally different answer to Abdullah bin Abu Musa Ash'ari. They were both great Sahaba, they were both faqih, they were both jurists. When Abu Musa Ash'ari, when he heard that Abdullah bin Mas'ud gave a different answer, do you know what he said to those people? This was inside Medina, okay? He said, لا تسألوني ما دام هذا الحبر فيكم, that in the future do not ask me any question as long as this ocean of knowledge is living amongst you. So differences, they're recorded in Bukhari and Muslim. Several differences amongst the Sahaba. Okay? So this group of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it includes the four schools of thought. They're all from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So if you follow the Hanafi school, you are from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. If you are following the Shafi'i school, you are following the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. If you're following the Maliki school, you are following the Ahlul Sunnah. If you are following one school only, you are following the Deen. Hafiz ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi in his Majmul al-Fatawa, inside his Fatawa he has clearly mentioned that following one of the school, you are following Deen. I don't want to get into this issue because we're as Aqeedah more, but this is a topic in itself. Why do we follow only one school? Why can't we follow different schools? Why can't we follow the most authentic opinion? And you have all these different confusions. I don't want to go into that more. Maybe probably if you get time, a question answer, inshallah, one day we will cover that topic. But the reason I'm mentioning this, because it related to Aqeedah, is the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that the group that will enter Jannah, the four schools, we have to remember that their differences is inside subsidiary issues. Therefore, if you have a group who are fiqh, in fiqh they're Hanafis, but the Aqeedah is wrong, they will not be from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, even though they are in Aqeedah they're Hanafi. In fiqh. There are many scholars like this who are Hanafi in fiqh. They follow the school of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. But the Aqeedah was incorrect. Like for example, you have Abu Bakr Jassas. He's a great faqih. He's written Ahkamul Quran in 3 volumes. But he was a Mu'tazili. You have Zamakhshari, a great linguistic. He wrote Kashaf, Tafsir, 4 volumes. But what was he? He was again, he was a Mu'tazili. So you have many ulama that in fiqh, like in the Hanbali school, you'll get several examples that they followed Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi in fiqh, but when it came to Aqeedah, they were anthropomorphists. They actually give a resemblance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They give him a corporeal figure, and they give a jism, a body to na'udhu billah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even though in fiqh they were Hanbali, they followed Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, but because in Aqeedah, in creed they were misguided, therefore they will not be from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So having said this, that the four schools are from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is very, very important to know that as long as their differences are in the subsidiary issues. If from the 4 schools there's a group or individuals that follow the 4 schools when it comes to the a'mal, the fiqh, but in Aqeedah they deviated, then technically they will not be regarded from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And I give you a few examples of many scholars who, there are many, I can't find the page here, but there are many other scholars who were great faqih, they were great in fiqh, like Abu Bakr Khalal, for example. Abu Bakr Khalal is one of the main transmitters of the Hanbali school. He has written a book, As-Sunnah, is in 7-8 volumes, and you'll be surprised of the things that he said regarding. He said, Na'uzbil, Allah literally sits on the throne, and the Prophet will sit next to him. He's mentioned this. So he was a mujassim in Aqeedah. So it's very, very important. That's why the people, the schools that safeguarded the a'mal side of things. We have the Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali school. Now this moves on to my next point. The reason I've given this introduction because it's very important to understand the next point. Similarly, we have schools in Aqeedah. We have schools in fiqh, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, and I told you they're all subsidiary issues. There's no actual difference. They're all inshallah from the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, etc. Even with Iman and Aqeedah, those people that preserve the Aqeedah and the Iman of the Ummah, like the Madhahib al-Arba'a, they preserve the fiqh side of the Ummah, the A'mal side, how to read Salah, how to give Zakah, what happens, what things break your fast, what things break your Salah, etc. Now when it comes to Aqeedah, safeguarding the Aqeedah and the Iman of the Ummah, formally, in the form of books, we also have 3 groups. We also have 3 groups. We have the Ash'ariyah. Okay. Ash'ariyah is plural of Ash'ari. We have the Ash'ariyah, plural of Ash'ari. We have the Maturidiyah. And we have the Atharis. So, Ash'ariyah, plural of Ash'ari, Ash'ariyah, the Ash'ari, Ash'ariyah, Maturidiyah, and Athari, Athariyah. Or you can call them the Ahlul Hadith. the people of the text. Athariya, yani the people, I'll explain Athariya there and let me start with Ash'ari. Now these three groups are the groups amongst the creedal. But remember, these are also from the Ahl Sunnah. Their differences is not fundamental differences. Their differences is inside the approach of protecting the Aqeedah of the Ummah. Now, let me, there's so many things coming in my head now and simultaneously. I don't know where to start from. You know, in fiqh, it's very important that you follow a school. In fiqh, you can't follow the deen without following a school. Why? Because it's through them the deen has come to us. We say madhab, don't we? And actually I'm going to discuss this word madhab when it comes into the text, inshallah. But just briefly here, there's actually a lot of explanation regarding the word madhab and how many meanings it has. And when it comes in Aqeedah, it's meant this. When it comes in fiqh, it means this. But madhab in general means a path. What does madhab mean? A path. It's ismul makan. It's a dharf. ذهب يذهب ذهابا فهو madhab. Madhab means a path. Because we haven't seen the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We haven't seen the Sahaba. So of course we need a path that takes us there. So these four schools that have come, these are like the ways for us to understand the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba. They are methodologies, they are ways to understand. Our manzil, our destination is sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when it comes to fiqh, we have to follow one of the four schools. Because without you can't follow the deen really. Because our deen is based on chain of transmission. Our deen is based on chain of transmission. I can't just directly follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's impossible. It's absurd. I can't directly follow the Sahaba. It's absurd. It comes through a chain of transmission. That's why Abdullah bin Mubarak said, لَوْلَا الْإِسْنَادِ لَقَالَ مَنْ شَاءَ مَا شَاءَ. If there was no chain of transmission, anybody would have said what they pleased, what they wished. So I want to, it's a bit of a technical point I'm making, so that's why I want the brothers to pay attention. When it comes to fiqh, jurisprudence, we have to follow one of the schools. As in Aqeedah, you know, I said these are three groups, Ash'ari, Maturidiyya and Athariyyah. I will explain each group inshallah briefly. But we don't have to follow them the way we have to follow in fiqh. So I don't have to say, oh, I'm Ash'ari, or I'm a Maturidi. Because Iman, like I told you, Aqeedah is more of a sophisticated, more of a developed word of Iman. So inside Aqeedah, we don't have to Aqeedah, we don't have to say, oh, I'm Ash'ari, then your Iman is mu'tabar. Or you have to say Maturidi, or then your Iman is mu'tabar, is accepted, otherwise it's rejected. No. The reason we had these three schools, and once you understand the reason, then you understand why it's not important for us to actually ascribe ourselves, even though our Aqeedah is according to them, because they actually preserve the Aqeedah of the Ummah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken khidmah and service from different people according to the times. When it came in the time of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, there was a need of compiling fiqh. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the likes of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, etc. And because the time of the Sahaba was very close to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and even after Tabi'in, Tabi'in, there were very less deviated ideologies within the Ummah. Because of the barakah of the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the time they were living in. There was less corruption inside Aqeedah and Iman. As time went on, different ideologies came within the Ummah. Yeah? People started rejecting the concept of the grave. People start rejecting the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People start rejecting the hisab kitab, the accountability on the day of judgment. So what happened then was, to preserve the actual Aqeedah and the Iman of the Ummah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala utilized these individuals who are named after the groups are named after their names, okay, to actually compile the true Aqeedah, so it differentiates and is distinguished from the false Aqeedah. That's why when this Ash'ari Maturidiyya came, like Imam Ash'ari is named after the Imam Abu Hasan Ash'ari rahmatullah, who's a great Imam He came slightly after Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, after Imam Tahawi, which we went to study. He came slightly after them. Most of the Shafi'i school and Maliki school, they follow Imam Abu Hassan Ash'ari rahimahullah. Then you have the Imam Abu Mansur Maturidi, who also came amongst the same time. Now there's a debate, discussion whether they met each other, whether they knew about each other. Allahu Alam. From what it seems like, yeah, they did, because they were actually working in different parts of the world. They were both tackling the deviated ideologies at that time. And they again came slightly after Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Tahawi. Imam Tahawi rahmatullah alayhi passed away in 300 something Hijri. So slightly after this, 300, 400 Hijri you're talking about here, where this entire discourse and Aqeedah started in a formal way. It was there before, but like this actually, in the name of group Ash'ari Maturidiyah. Now, most of the Hanafis, those that follow the Hanafi school, they follow Imam Abu Mansur Maturidi in Aqeedah. Now, these two groups, and then you have the third group, Athari. I will mention regarding Athari. Athari are those people, like I said, the people of the Hadith, meaning they actually just abide and they follow the text itself, just the text. They don't actually give any reasoning, which is nothing wrong with it. Ash'ari and Maturidi actually give reasoning, etc. They discuss theological issues, dialectical science, ilmul kalam, where they start debating based on logic also, which inshallah I'll cover slightly later on about this ilmul kalam. Can we use intellect when it comes to Aqeedah? Can we use our rational when it comes to Aqeedah? And why did Ash'ari and Maturidiyya do this? I'll explain this inshallah later on, and if I don't, please remind me. It's very, very important, especially in the current situation we are living in. So Ash'ari and Maturidiyya, these three schools, especially Ash'ari and Maturidiyya, they did a more of Athari again is part of the Ahl Sunnah, is also a valid position. But mainly Ash'ari and Maturidiyya, they were known to tackle the deviated sects, refute them formally in the form of books, in the form of titles, abwab, tarajim, etc. And even the differences between these two groups, Ash'ari and Maturidiyya, again, it was not fundamental differences, it was mainly in the approach. So for example, if somebody refuted the concept of the grave, Imam Abu Hassan Ash'ari, he took an approach, Imam Abu Mansur Maturidi, he took an approach. Now the approach might have different, but the actual purpose was same. It was to actually expose the true Aqeedah of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And there are books that have been written on this. I thought I would just bring a few with me for the benefit of those that want to inshallah further pursue. This I have in front of me. This is a very good book, mashallah. It's written by Sheikh Shamsuddin Ahmad bin Sulaiman, is known as Ibn Kamal Basha. It's a risala, and it says Masail Ikhtilaf fil Ash'ari Maturidiyya, the Masail in which the Ash'ari Maturidiyya differed. It's got tahqiq and slight commentary by Sheikh Sa'id Fuda. And this approximately, there's only 12 differences. In here, it's mentioned 12 differences amongst the Ash'ari Maturidiyya, which are again semantic differences. There were differences pertaining to the words and the approach methodology. It wasn't actually actual differences inside the Iman. So you have the Ash'ari Maturidiyya and the Athariyya. And I told you that most of the Hanafi school, they follow the Maturidi. Most of the Shafi and Maliki, they follow the Ash'ari. And most of the actually the virtues group from the Hanabila, they are the Athari. They're described towards Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. I forgot to mention, Athari are described towards Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. But I have to say the virtues, the noble scholars from the Hanabil. The reason I say this because there's a group from the Hanbali school that deviated in Aqeedah, known as Hashawiyah. That's why even Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, when he's mentioning a certain issue in his Khalq wa Af'al al-Ibad, in his book, he mentioned that this issue is according to etc., and the virtues Hanbalis. So you'll find a lot of creed books also, but the Hanbali, they'll have the clause of Fudala, the virtues. Why? Because there's a group amongst there that deviated from the actual teachings of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, which we'll inshallah discuss further on in this course. Is that understood? Or is that too technical, Dr. Sir? Is that simple?
It's good, David. Getting a lot of clearer picture and everything.
Alhamdulillah. That's good. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Now, this Aqeedah of Imam Tahawi rahmatullahi alayhi. Let's just briefly talk about Imam Tahawi rahmatullahi alayhi, just for a moment of time. Why have we chosen this text? Is it till 1 o'clock, inshallah? Why have we chosen this text? And then, inshallah, this introduction is done now. We're starting the kitab. No, but this introduction is vital. Because afterwards, we can relate everything back to the principles that we mentioned in the beginning. It's very, very important. If you have set of principles, then when you read a book, it's easy. Then, because when you're reading the book and you'll have so many questions, so if you don't have the principles laid out first, then it's difficult. Now, Imam Tahawi rahmatullahi alayhi, Imam Tahawi, there's dispute when he was born, but majority of scholars say he was born in 239 Hijri. 239 Hijri, and he passed away in 321 Hijri. 321. So how many years has that been altogether? What is it now? 14 what? 90 years.
What are the dates?
Oh, you got me scared. I wish Tahawi, you talking about that 90 years ago. Born in 239 Hijri, after Hijri. And he passed away in when? 321. And what year is it now?
1438.
Yeah. So how many years approximately since he's passed away? Come on. 1100 years, give and take, okay? He was a great muhaddith, and that you can, his book, Sharh Ma'an al-Athar, Mushkil al-Athar, he's written as one book of the ikhtilaf of the ulama, the subsidiary issues, which is approximately in 80 volumes. This person, he was no joke. He was a real deal, as they say. When it came to hadith, he was a master. When it came to Aqeedah, he was a master. When it came to criticizing and authenticating, ilal, jarh, ta'deel of the hadith transmission, he was an expert. Oh, I forgot. I told you when he was born, I forgot his name, because sometimes the name is so apparent to me, I think everybody knows it. His full name, he's known as Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. Abu Ja'far was his title, Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. His full name, Abu Ja'far Ahmad bin Muhammad. Tahawi is named after the city that he was born in, Taha. It was a city inside Egypt at the time, inside Misr. So he was from Egypt. He was born there in a place called Taha. So because he's from Taha, they call him Tahawi. As the Londoners, Bradfordian, they say that, they even have it in English, like you have Kufi, Basri, person from Kufa, Basra, Makki, person from Makkah, Madani, person from Medina. So Tahawi, person from Taha. He was a very strong adherent to the Hanafi school. He was a follower of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah when it came to Fiqh. And in Aqeedah, we'll mention that inshallah further on. He actually was a Shafi'i first. It's very famous. Even the Shawafi, when they say this, just the bit of a banter. When they say this, they say with a lot of regret, because one of their main batsmen came onto our side, because he defended the Hanafi school and with a lot of vigor, mashallah. You look at Sharh Ma'an al-Athar, the way he's presented both sides of the arguments. I mean, he had the honor of living at the time of Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim. He was the contemporary of Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim. This person, he's not a person that came years later. He was a contemporary Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim. And if you look at Sharh Ma'an al-Athar, which is basically the ahadith, the Hanafi evidences, you will see he'll bring the opponent's narrations, he'll bring our narrations, then he will tell He'll give the reason why our narration are more authentic and better to follow, and then he'll give logical evidence. At the end, it's called Al-Tahawi. It's very famous. The great Badruddin Al-Aini, who wrote a commentary on Bukhari, 25 volumes, Umdat al-Qari, he has written a 25-volume commentary on Sharh Ma'ani al-Athar. So this is one of the works of Imam Tahawi. So when you read his work, you say this person he was amazing. This is not a doubt. A full conference can be dedicated to Imam Tahawi rahmatullah alayhi. This is who this person is. So he was a contemporary of these people. There's very famous saying regarding him. There's few fabricated ones, few weak ones. I will probably say the one that even the Shawafi agree to, inshallah, is that his uncle Imam Muzani. Imam Muzani was his uncle. He was the main student of Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi. Why did he leave the Shafi school? That doesn't mean Shafi school is wrong. This is a story. Alhamdulillah, all four we have love for. All of them, we have love for each other. Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You'll be surprised if you look at the conduct and the mu'amala of the pious Salaf. They actually had so much respect for each other. So khair, this is a famous story, and even the Shafi inshallah will agree to this one, because there's another one which looks, if I mention that I might create some hostility, half day. Why he left the Shafi school? Now he was a student of Imam Muzani, who was his uncle. And his uncle, his mamu, he was the main student of Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi. He was actually propagating the Shafi school inside Misr at the time. Once his a muhaddith, a faqih of a Hanafi school, he came to Misr, and his name was Abu Ibrahim, not Abu Ibrahim, his name was Abu Imran, Ibn Abi Imran. And Imam Muzani, he actually shouted at his nephew that Wallahi la ja'a minka shay. By Allah, you will produce anything. And there's no goodness inside you. We say you are a waste. Right? La ja'a minka shay. And he said, Wallahi. So I thought, okay, he walked out. Young lad walked out, and he went and he started studying by the Hanafi jurist, and he obviously was fascinated by the evidences and the approach of the Hanafi school to the textual evidence, etc., etc. And when he wrote his book, when he first wrote his book, Sharh Ma'ani al-Athar, I think it was, or was it Bayan Mushkil al-Athar? Forgot which one it was. He wrote one of his great works. So he would say that, Rahimallah Aba Ibrahim al-Muzani, that may Allah mercy on my uncle Muzani. Because if he was alive and he saw this work today, he would have to break his qasam and give a penalty. Because he said, Wallahi, and you will produce anything. And he produces one of the most finest and most fantastic work in the Islamic history, Imam Tahawi. There's no doubt what he produced, especially in hadith, is subhanallah, it's fascinating. It makes a person scratch his head, what kind of person this person was. So you just say, may Allah mercy on him, because if he was alive today and he saw my work, he'll have to break it, he'll have to give kafara and give a penalty. Because he took qasam. So then, sometimes our teacher used to say, he's one, Hanafi school is our main batsman. He's like our opening batsman. He's got very strong, his approach, the way, because the book, the beauty about Imam Tahawi's book, and again, I think, I don't know, Allah Alam, I don't want to, Allah forgive me for saying this, even our madrasas and our Islamic institutes that teach ahadith books, I don't think they give the due importance practically. Well, alhamdulillah, everybody believes, mashallah, but practically they don't give that same importance to Tahawi as they give to other hadith books. Yes, Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, yes, alhamdulillah, but I think it's unfair to Imam Tahawi that this book is taught in the madaris as barakat, blessing. Just read a few sides. I think that book should be taught properly, because the Aqeedah in there, the different narrations, because Imam Bukhari will bring his narrations, Imam Muslim will bring his narrations, Imam Tirmidhi they will bring what Imam Abu Dawud bring his Hanbali fiqh inside his work, whereas Imam Tahawi will actually bring both sides of narration, and then he will tell you, why this is, and so it gives you it'll give you his perspective, but at least you'll have the narration, both sides, you'll have the answers. Why do we raise our hands? Why do we say, quietly? Why we do this? Why we do that? So you have the both narration in front of you, and he actually scrutinizes the chain of transmission, he goes into reasoning, etc. So here, this is a bit about Hafiz ibn Zahabi, Hafiz Zahabi, rahmatullah alayh, the great, mashallah, muhaddith, who's written so many works on Rijal. When it comes to knowing the lives and the biographies the muhaddithun, the people that have transmitted hadith. Imam Tahawi is a fundamental figure in this. He has so many works here, Alam al-Nubala, Tadhkirat al-Hufaz, and many other works. And he's the same person who Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, the one that written Fath al-Bari, very famous. When he went to Hajj or Umrah, he was drinking Zamzam and he made the dua that, oh Allah, give me knowledge in hadith like the great Dhahabi. That's what people say. That's why Ibn Hajar, after that, mashallah, he was well versed in the science of hadith. So he's mentioned regarding Imam Tahawi, لمن نظر في تواليف هذا الإمام علم محله من العلم وسعة معارفه, that whoever contemplates and looks into the works of Imam Tahawi, they will recognize his status, his location in the science of hadith, in knowledge in general, and they will see what kind of vast knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him. So this is the reason he's a great scholar. He's undisputed in that regards. And his Aqeedah, the reason we are covering his Aqeedah is because there's two things. Number one, it's very comprehensive. It's comprehensive and concise. Comprehensive, concise, jami' mani. And is agreed upon. Within the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, within the Muslims in general, you probably get people who will probably say even Imam Tahawi was na'udhu billah a Jahmi, like some people have, but they're extremes, there's no ilaj for them, there's no cure for them. But a person who is munsif, a person who is adil, he's just, he will have to concede and acknowledge the fact that Imam Tahawi rahmatullahi alayhi's Aqeedah, his creed, his text, it actually represents the Aqeedah of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Sahaba, the Tabi'in and Tabi'in. It's undisputed. Everybody, the Hanafi school, the Shafi'i school, the Maliki school, the Hanbali school, the Ash'ira, the Maturidiyya, even the contemporary Salafi brothers, they also accept the Aqeedah of Imam Tahawi. Now the only difference is that some people, they'll make commentaries on Aqeedah Tahawiyyah, try to make him part of his camp, their camp. So because this is a topic inshallah that we'll be discussing in some detail, Al-Aqidah, Imam Tahawi rahmatullahi alayhi, because he's an agreed upon figure, so everybody says, we follow him, you don't follow him. So obviously we need to check the evidences, we need to put this under scrutiny. There are a few commentaries that I've brought along with me. There are several more that we can use, especially the students here, mashallah, who are into the Arabic language. They can use as a commentary. I've looked at a few, but this is, mashallah, probably the most detailed till date by this Sharh al-Kabir, Sheikh Sayyid Fouda. He's a contemporary scholar. He lives in Jordan. He was actually born in Palestine. This is in 2 volumes. There's a commentary on Aqeedah, al-Tahawiyyah. This first volume is 722 sides, and similar is the second volume. So it's like 1,500, 1,500 sides. The second volume is there. My iPad is, I don't take that out, fall. This is a famous commentary, is very new, is very recent. Then you have this commentary by Hibatullah, known as Hibatullah Turkestani, who's a Hanafi, who's a Maturidi. Is a very well-known commentary now. Mashallah, is very brief and it's detailed at the same time, so it's in the middle. You have this. There's another one, Sharh al-Tahawiyyah by Al-Ghunaym al-Maydani. Again, this is a famous work, famous Arabic commentary. You have the Sharh al-Aqidah al-Imam Tahawi of, again, Ghaznavi, Imam Ghaznavi's. You have, this is quite famous. This is a new one I haven't seen. Maulana Sahil, my friend, gave me this today as a hadiyah. Allah rewarded. This is by the Qadi Ismail bin Ibrahim al-Shaybani, passed away in 649 Hijri. I wasn't aware of this Shah until today. And then you have the commentary which everybody uses, and it's very, very controversial, and that's one of the things inshallah we'll be covering inside this discourse, is the Sharh which is, this is the it's easy access, everybody knows about this Sharh, those are into Aqeedah, is about Sharh al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyyah by Ibn Izz al-Hanafi. It's been translated in English language, so if you need a translation, you probably get this only at this moment. I make dua that we have the other commentaries also translated. The Saudi government, they publish this, and people, and they distribute this like pakode. So you will find this at every bookstore, and there deliberately says Al-Hanafi. So when you buy this, you'll say, oh, this guy was a true Hanafi, and he's doing a commentary on Imam Tahawi, and Imam Tahawi was a Hanafi, and like we'll see in the. But this is actually a refutation of Imam Tahawi's idea. There's a lot of distortion in there. There's a lot of interpolation, which we'll be covering with evidences. A lot of people don't know this. They get deceived, and this was my first commentary that I bought. So I need a commentary. I was studying Al-Tahawiyyah, and this is the only commentary I found. This is the first commentary I bought by Ibn Izz al-Hanafi. There's a dispute regarding Ibn Izz al-Hanafi, whether he was a Hanafi or not, or whether he even existed in Islamic history, or is a made-up person. Allahu Alam. This is a discussion again, which is open to debate, which we won't do, but I just thought as something there you can take with you. This commentary has been translated in English language. There's a lot of Aqeedah in here that's been in the name of the pious Salaf. Imam Tahawi is not Imam Tahawi's Aqeedah. And you will see, inshallah, from the text you will see where he has gone against Imam Tahawi clearly. And he's actually advocated the Aqeedah of the small minority that deviated from the Hanbali school. Yeah, like the likes of Hafiz ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullahi alayhi, Hafiz ibn Qayyim, rahmatullahi alayhi. He's advocated their opinions in here a lot. You will see throughout the book. So this is a book he's written on Aqeedah, and it represents the Aqeedah of Imam ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullahi alayhi. And ironically, Saudi sell this. There's a news some brother told me, and that this is true, but I don't know whether it's been published or not. He's also written a commentary on Hidayah, which is a fiqh book inside the Hanafi school. It's a fiqh book, Hidayah. He has written a commentary on Hidayah, and that's been printed now also. So it just makes you wonder that why, out of all the commentaries of Hidayah, Saudi has chosen to print the commentary written by Ibn Izz al-Hanafi. It just rings alarm bells. Allahu Alam. But these are a few of the commentaries that you can, inshallah, you can buy online, you can order, you can even get PDF nowadays of these commentaries. Now, right, is it namaz time now? We do namaz? 5 minutes, take it. Let's start with the matan. Let's do Bismillah, otherwise today introduction and we'll be on introduction. It's all related with, obviously, with the book. If the brothers can open, if they're on your phones, can you see it? That's one of the main parts of the book, actually. That's not been inside the print. هذا بيان الحمد لله رب العالمين. From there, as it was opened, the Maulana Abdul Wadud Sahib, he took the pictures. So the Arabic text there, the translation with it. So Alhamdulillahi Rabb, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. قال العلامة حجة الإسلام أبو جعفر البراق الطحاوي بمصر رحمه الله تعالى: هذا ذكر بيان عقيدة أهل السنة والجماعة على مذهب فقهاء الملة أبي حنيفة النعمان بن ثابت الكوفي وأبي يوسف يعقوب بن إبراهيم الأنصاري وأبي عبد الله محمد بن حسن الشيباني رضوان الله عليهم أجمعين وما يعتقدون من أصول الدين وَيَدِينُونَ بِهِ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Now, the translation, I think, is the second picture. Translation. Should we carry from Imam? We can stop here just with the ibarat of the first. We can do this first after Salah if you want. We'll finish after Salah.